I felt better at halftime because even though there were those two plays, there was Marvin Harrison to the house on the great throw and catch to say, okay, we got that back, the lead at halftime. Yeah, it's a more dominant first half than what the score indicates, but at least that got Ohio State back in front. We're going to see more of that. I thought there was a deep throw down the seam to Ibuka in the fourth quarter on the drive that made it 31-23. And in retrospect, where were a few more throws downfield to give guys that are supposed to be winning 50-50 balls a shot to show their athleticism?
Yeah, I don't know that the shots were there and the safeties were covering stuff up, and that may have also been why they were able to run the ball so well. To touch on David Greenshield's super chat, Hayden getting 2 carries after 2 100-yard games. I don't think the selection of running backs was the issue. Chip Trayanum did just fine. They just stopped running the ball. Like I said, nine rushes in the second half, and one of those is probably a sack. I don't know, but just the abandoning of the run. You continue to run, then you have to start bringing a safety up, and then you can take some of those shots that you're talking about, Mark. Some of those, but I also think there were opportunities to go deep. The safeties can only defend one side of the field or the other, the way that the defense is lined up. And if you've got Marvin and Nemec on one side, that's where the safety help is going to be. So Julian Fleming had a decent game. I think he could have taken more shots, as you said, but it's always so difficult to find like rhythm with Ryan Day's play calling. It comes and goes. Like it's odd at times where there's no running or there's just running. And I think maybe that's it. Even throughout his years, it's tough to find that rhythm, that identity that other programs have.
I'll just say this about the Trayanum and Hayden debate. I think Trayanum, for having not played, did really well. I think had this been Indiana, Rutgers, Maryland, no problem. But you weren't beating Michigan with him at running back. And here's why. They opened a hole one time going from the south end to the north end, and he runs into his own blocker and gets knocked down. And, I mean, that could happen to anybody. But Dallan Hayden's 20 yards beyond that point. At that point, he would have hit those holes, and that would have been a 65-yard touchdown with Dallan Hayden. I don't have any doubt about that, because that hole, it should have been a 40 or 50-yard game with Chip Trayanum. And they also ran a toss to him on like a 3rd and 3 or something like that, and he couldn't get to the corner. I mean, it was painful. He was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday trying to get out there. So he was a great change-up back. I don't know why they were scared to death to put Dallan Hayden in the game. That kid had earned his stripes. He was no longer a freshman, as Urban used to say. Not a freshman anymore. He played 10 games, even though he really hadn't played 10 games. He only played 3 or 4. But, it's all hands on deck in the Michigan game, and you had one of your better hands underneath, not on deck. So I don't understand why you didn't put your best players out there, your healthiest, best players out there to try and win this game. I'll never understand that. So this guy, after back-to-back 100-yard games, deserved a shot. And just another question that wasn't asked, that one of many that guess we'll see. And running back position for me, guys, going forward, Travion Henderson comes out on Twitter and says he had a broken foot and torn ligaments in his foot and was still trying to practice and play, trying to answer, how soft he was by not playing in the game. Well, that's definitely true, and that's unfortunate for him. And, it's unfortunate people took things so far as to, say mean things about him on Twitter or whatever. But very understandable where he's coming from. Mayan Williams, I presume, did the best he could, and just had a couple nice runs, but just nothing to write home much about, and they eventually shut him down. So you tried to win the big game without a couple of your big players. So, it looked and felt the way that it looked.